Benfica Podcast is one of the founding members of Benfica Independent. Benfica Independent is an independent platform made by fans for fans, and in it, you can find our podcast along with many other podcasts, along with articles of opinion, video segments, and much, much more. We're also on patreon.com/Benfica Independent with exclusive contents for our patrons.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo. Sí, es un club que tiene una grandeza que no se comprende si no estás aquí dentro.
São de uma magia única, benfiquista, que só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. E o valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero um manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estado e assustá-los, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica Podcast. My name is Alfredo Fumaces, with you always every Tuesday night this week on Monday nights, Dave. Throw a curveball.
Well, if you're in Portugal, it's Tuesday morning, right? So it depends on what time you're listening to this. Could be a Tuesday night.
Yeah, and the reason why we're coming to you a little bit earlier or a day earlier is because I'll be traveling tomorrow night, so I won't be around to do a podcast. So here we are tonight. No Chris. Chris is still not feeling too well, but we got Dave. Dave, what's happening, my brother?
Nothing much, positive after this past weekend's result. We can't come in here and be in negative, so it's all positive, and hopefully we're just positive. We got 3 matches to go here. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not the light that was being flashed at Vieira's room back in the day. So things are looking up and up here for Benfica with 3 games to go.
Yeah, that's right. Joining us tonight, you've known him. He's been on our podcast for a couple times, right, Tiago?
Yeah. I've been this is probably like my 5th or 6th time on here.
Yeah. Tiago, who is a huge Benfiquista here from New Jersey also. You probably have seen him on Twitter. I've had some exchanges with him. What's happening, my brother?
Oh, just excited about what I saw this past weekend. Hopefully they could take this momentum and ride with it to the last 3 games. Hopefully 3 games, 3 victories, and seal this 38 up and start getting ready for 39.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll get into it. It was a difficult game. I think that you have heart problems. That was a tough one. But I wanted to say hello to all the Freddies who have joined us. Chico Marcelino was first on the chat. Sneaker Shouts, Justin Aragão, Nuno M, Diogo Reis, Manny Valadão. And Diogo Reis is saying 9:38 start. That's a beautiful thing. When Chris is not here, because he takes some time in a makeup chair. When Chris is not here, we could get here on time. Let us know how the sound is, and the video from what I could gather is pretty good. But you're the one you guys are the ones that are listening, so let us know, chat. But here we are, episode 485. On tap tonight, we will be recapping the big game at Estádio Luz against Sporting de Braga this past Saturday, and we'll be looking forward to the Portimonense game, Porto B, as you want to call it, which comes up this Saturday also. So let's get started into. I was gonna wait for people to come in, but whatever. If you want to join, I know that today is off the schedule, and probably people haven't planned this out. But you listen on the audio, or you could watch the video replay. So let's get right into Braga. Vlaco Dimos was in goal. Auschnitz, Silva, Otamendi, and Grimaldo across the back. Neves and Chiquinho in the middle. João Mário, Neres on the wings. Rafa underneath Ramos. So we thought that Ba was going to start. And apparently he re-aggravated or got re-injured. So he didn't even make the bench. He was on the bench against the team we played before this, who I forget who it was now. Studio? Was it?
Gil Vicente.
Gil Vicente. Yeah. Yeah, so he wasn't available, so it was Auschnitz again on the right. And really a little bit of tidbit of trivia. With this game, Otamendi has equaled the number of games that he played for Porto that he's now played for Benfica. So for a lot of those guys, and I know, look, it's been Otamendi's been he divided the opinions in the beginning, but I think he slowly became one of the leaders, and I think that there's a lot of people that don't even want him to go anywhere on a end of season that may bring either contract negotiations or he may walk, but certainly a rock for us. And the fact that now he's played more games for Benfica than he has for Porto, maybe that sways some of those people. So, but yeah, let's get into the game. Benfica came right out to play, man, and I think that there was a composite of things, a juncture of things or joining of things that came together. First of all, I think that this season is probably the liveliest I've heard the stadium in terms of support, in terms of chanting. And this was like from the beginning to the end. And Thiago, coupled with the team coming out and going right at Braga, it really left a game or a feeling that the game was going to go our way this time.
Yeah, I think Benfica, like the first 20 minutes, were holding on to 70% possession of the ball, and I think with Benfica, you could tell within the first 15 minutes what Benfica team showed up. Benfica, I think, has two squads right now. It's the team that sits back and waits to see what the game brings, and it's the other team that we saw this weekend is the team that takes the game to the opposition, controls the midfield, does not let the opposing team push out, and they literally held Braga within their own midfield for the first 20 minutes of the game. And it's just, that's the team we need to see. And I just don't understand why we don't see that more often, that Schmidt pressing.
Yeah. And Dave, do you feel that Roger Schmidt prepared this game a lot better? Or do you think that the team really felt what needed to come out on the field?
I mean, we've said this in podcasts before. This is one of those type of games that you shouldn't need a coach to get you motivated and up for these types of games. We were talking about this was going to be the game of the season, right? If Benfica loses this game or drops points, that you can put a pin in the season, right? So whether or not Roger prepared this team for this match, I think ultimately if you're not motivated and ready to come out and give it 110%, then you shouldn't be playing for this team, or shouldn't be professional in general. But the team definitely came out to play, and I like how you gave a shout out to the supporters too, because they've been criticized in the past, but this year you can't put it on the supporters and the people making the trip out to watch the club. So good on the supporters, and I think we're still missing that finishing touch. The setup plays are there. It's something's up with Ramos. I don't know if anything's coming out in terms of injuries, but something's missing there in terms of finishing touches from Ramos and from a majority of other players on this team too.
Yeah, I put Benfica 2-0, but it was actually 1-0. Sorry about that. No, look, it's like you guys have mentioned. I think that when you see the first 15 minutes and the way the team is playing, the intensity, just the motivation, just the drive, I think that it really gives you a good feeling. As compared to the first game when we played at the Pedreira, where basically Braga were the ones that did what we did to them, with the exception that they scored more goals. But I think that right off the bat, I think that Benfica was right on top of Braga, suffocating. Every time that Braga cleared the ball from their box or whatever it was, it seemed that there was a Benfica player collecting the ball and Benfica would go forward. But yeah, I agree. In terms of a lot of the final third decisions or even that final ball or that shot, Benfica needs to do a lot better. And I think a lot has to do with Gonçalo Ramos, which has hit a bad patch of form. Tiago, at this point, what are you thinking at Tiago at Gonçalo Ramos? Because we have mentioned here that maybe Musa deserves a little bit of a play.
Well, here's we got to think back to the beginning of the season, all the Champions League qualifiers, and then it's been a long season for these guys. Gonçalo Ramos played for Portugal at the World Cup. I mean, he's literally been playing nonstop since the beginning of the season. He's young. He should have the stamina. But I mean, everybody's human. You could see this team is starting to get a little tired towards the end of the season. But the one thing I can tell you about Gonçalo Ramos, even though he's not scoring, he still fits into that Schmidt game tactic, which is he'll come back, pressure, help the midfield. And I don't think Musa gives Benfica that much as far as that tactical aspect. I think Gonçalo Ramos, the only reason he still has the job over Musa is because he fits into the kind of striker Schmidt needs for this tactic and pressing scheme to work.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But at some point, you got to be able to bring the goals, man. Because Joao Mario's not scoring. Rafa certainly scored one, but he hadn't scored one since October, Dave, was it, back then?
Well, he scored a couple in the Champions League, and then he scored, last one was October against Xavi, so he was on a rut there too.
Yeah, but the goals need to come from somewhere, and if those are the guys that have been our goal scorers all season, and Joao Mario and Ramos have been going back and forth in terms of who leads that table. If they're not scoring, the goals need to come from somewhere. Neres hasn't really scored a ton of goals, but I think that Neres is a lot more of a creator than he is of a goal scorer, and that's the role that we want from Neres. But certainly, I think that we could have gone into the locker room at halftime ahead. We certainly did a lot more to warrant that. But I'm looking at the at the stats here at the halftime. 12 shots for Benfica. Only one of those shots were on goal. 25 actions in the opponent's box. 83% of pass efficiency, and 62% of vertical pass efficiency. 5 defensive actions in the opponent's midfield, and 66% of possession. And certainly, as we're looking at this first half, Dave, Benfica had a lot of the ball. What were your thoughts in terms at the half? Did you think that we were going to continue to struggle for a goal, or did you feel that the goal would eventually come?
I thought the goal was coming because Braga really didn't show much on the other and in terms of creating a chance. I'm trying to think back to that game. They may have had one opportunity or one cross that into the box that caused us a little bit of troubles there, but other than that, it was all Benfica, and we just lacked that finishing touch there. But the chances were there, so it's not like Braga was stopping any chances from being created. So I felt confident going into.
Yeah, and on the other side, I mean, if you look in contrast, on the other side, Braga had one shot, and it wasn't even on goal. 3 actions in our box, and 34% of possession. So it was a Benfica that really reduced Braga to an insignificant team. I thought that we played very well, but again, that lacking that goal, man, kind of leaves you in a little bit of a pickle, especially when you have this anxiety and this pressure and this anticipation that you need to win this game, and then you get into the second half, and all of a sudden, the clock is against you. The time is ticking down. The clock is against you. But look, I think that we played the second half. We came out again. Ramos had a wide open shot, and I think I might I lost my shit. I lost my shit on that one because you could see the play happening like almost in slow motion. Neres, I think it was Neres. Neres went to the line, crosses it back, and Ramos is running onto the ball. And I think he really did the most difficult thing was to miss the goal. And I swear to God, I lost my shit here at home. Iago, what did seeing that, man? I don't know, man, but things were flying for sure.
That was right at the 61st minute. I'm thinking like a goal right now would set the tone of the game perfectly. And then when he does that, I'm just, it's the one thing Benfica really doesn't have, and another thing also why this team is struggling right now is because if we look at the depth of this team is not that deep. We don't have much depth. We had Draxler, who really didn't do much, got hurt. We got Gonçalo Guedes came in, ended up getting hurt. So this team is very limited with the amount of good players they have on the bench. So it's like that's why these and then Roger Schmidt is not known for rotating the team much either. So that's it. Just I think there's a number of contributing factors as to why the team just looks like not themselves from the beginning of the year, but Gonçalo Ramos has to bury those. Those are give me's. Those are freebies. You should be like, I'm not gonna lie. The pass that Neres put to Rafa was like a pinpoint precise pass. And when he breaks away, I'm like, he's gonna miss it. He's gonna miss it. But that's the thing. Did he score it or did the goalie play that bad? Because that looked like such an easy save for the goalie. It's like
no. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the one he totally missed.
Yes, Ramos, yeah, in the 61st minute. But right. I was saying about Rafa. Yeah, when Rafa goes away, gets away on that breakaway for the goal. Yeah, it's just like I'm thinking he's gonna miss this. He's gonna miss this. It's because you could almost see the nervousness on his face. Like,
and even
when Rafa has too much time to think, things usually don't go right.
He had way too much time on that.
Too much time.
It scares me. It scares me.
Just that whole Ramos thing. Everything was in slow motion, and it was like perfect. And it was one of those passes that it's half a goal. That all you really have to do is tap it in. Yep. Really. And I know he was definitely like in between the penalty spot and the 6, or maybe at the penalty spot.
Yeah, he was right. He was right by the penalty spot,
and he completely missed it.
Yeah.
And then 6 minutes later, in the 67th minute, with that beautiful pass by Neres. And you're right, Dave. I got up off my couch and was like, "Come on!" And if he would have missed that, I don't know, man. But that was stuff. And even like if you guys watch the replay, the shot is even like odd. The way he takes the shot, the way he executes that shot was very odd because it's almost like he scoops the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit it flat and doesn't drive the ball. He like scoops the ball. And look, maybe that's his thing. Maybe he wanted to get it. He didn't want to get it on the ground. He didn't want to get it between the hand and the outstretched foot. I get that. But even the shot, man, and when that went in, man, it was I was extremely relieved to see Rafa, because how many times have we seen Rafa either hit that over the goalie or have the goalies like kick save it, they can't finish it. And it was one of those moments that I really felt relieved that Benfica had scored, because I think that up until that point, Benfica had been the best team, and I just thought that we we weren't creating that many chances, and the ones we were creating, we weren't putting away. And this was just another one, Dave.
Yeah, for sure. You were talking about the amount of times that we've seen Rafa make that same play and not score a goal. I think like fast forward 5-10 minutes and he almost has the same situation. And that's where one that he puts it over the bar instead of scoring, where he's one-on-one with the keeper. But luckily for us and for Rafa, he gets the goal on that play. And I'm with you. I was ecstatic after that goal because I was with like Thiago. I didn't think he was going to be able to pull it off. I think I've been one to rag on Rafa here these last couple of weeks, and boy, I'm glad he proved me wrong this time around.
Yeah, look, I think it was a collective sigh of relief. And Thiago, certainly you saw that hit in the back of the net. I think there's a shot that is a shot from behind Benfica's goal, and he scores. And Antonio Silva goes down on his knees
praying
with the head on the grass. Yep. And I think that was the entire Benfica nation, with the exception of the people that were at the stadium, that basically had that feeling go over them. Like, fuck. Thank God.
I mean, it just goes to this team, how united this team is, goes to show you right after he scored the goal, like the bench cleared. Like this, the coaching staff, everybody ran out to the field and celebrated with him. It's like, because if you look at this game, if you show somebody who knows the game and you show the final stats and you don't tell them the final result and you say, look at these stats, what do you think the end score was? They would say 3-0, 2-0, 3-0, you know? And Benfica's that 1-0. It just goes to speak for the way that Benfica's been finalizing the games lately. It's just they're struggling right now to score goals, and it shouldn't happen this late in the season.
Yeah, but look, even that Ramos miss just speaks to the poor form that he's in, because usually he buries those all day, with his eyes closed. But it just speaks about the moment of form that he's going through. Hopefully, Benfica could clinch this championship without needing Ramos to score that all too important goal that we need. But look, it was tricky. And then at the end, when Braga wanted to finally play, that one header that the guy lets the ball hit his head and it goes over the crossbar. Oof. And
that's all set up by Bruma there, though. Bruma in the second half.
And Bruma was, I think that when you look at this Sporting Braga team, you got to look at Bruma as being the one shining spot for them. No Musrati. Musrati didn't make the roster coming down to Lisbon. Obviously hurt, so he couldn't play. So that was a big miss for them. But they were just dominated all game long. I don't understand the words of the Braga coach at the end of the game saying that they played eye to eye with Benfica, or they played whatever with Benfica, and they really didn't. They were just dominated. They were dominated, and I think that when you listen to a guy like that, I lose respect for guys that really can't see the game for what it is, and it's almost like they got this agenda that they have to protect and these things that they have to say in order to please a higher power. But Braga, not at any point was Braga that dominant over Benfica. That was those last minutes of the second half in which Braga came out and finally decided to play. But really, I mean, looking at these stats, they finished with 5 shots, none of them on goal, 42% of possession against Benfica, who had 20 shots, 3 of them on goal. Even that is a very low number for that many shots. 42 actions in the opponent's half, 58%, 80% of pass efficiency. I mean, Benfica just dominated up and down this whole game, Braga, and really showed why we're the top team in the league. And I'm glad we were able to finally beat Braga and really get this out of the way. And Thiago, I had mentioned that this game was extremely important because it allows us to have a little bit of a cushion. And look, granted, you still need to win the games that you have to play. You got Portimonense, you still got Santa Clara, you got Sporting. But my whole thing is that allowing us to go into Alvalade with a 4-point cushion. Admittedly, we still have to beat Portimonense, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Certainly leaves you in a better position.
It does. I don't think anything's won by any stretch of the imagination because they asked Roger Schmidt if at the end of the game in the post game conference if he felt like he had one hand on the championship already, and he goes, no, nothing's won. And I totally agree with him. Nothing is won. We've seen some crazy stuff happen in this league, and it's not out of the realm of possibility yet. Until we clinch the championship, there's always a chance for us to lose it. So we need to play hard this weekend. We need to play hard next weekend, and hopefully within the next 2 games, we need 2 games to win. So hopefully we lock it in. It would be amazing to go to our neighbors and lock in the championship, in their house and celebrate in their house for a change instead of having people celebrate championships in our house.
Yeah. Yep.
It'll be a nice change of pace, but I don't think anything's won. Am I confident? Probably I would say 80%, 80% confident with this team, but that's the thing. Like Portimonense is not going to be a cakewalk, and neither is Sporting. So it's like, it depends on which team shows up. Is it the same team that played Braga, or is it the team that played Chaves? That's what we need to hope, is that it's for the next 3 games, the team that played Braga comes out to play every game.
No, I agree with you. And if you guys saw in the beginning of our podcast, and I'll put it back, the title is "We Missed You," which is true. I mean, Dave, this is probably a Benfica that we haven't seen in months, right?
Yeah, since before the international break, and even still then, it's still not a finished product, right? They're still wanting us, or they're still leaving us more, or wanting us to see more from this team just because of the lack of finishing. But it's been baby steps ever since that collapse, right? Ever since the Porto Chaves Inter results, it's had to be baby steps to get us to this point, and 3 games to go, and at least it's a step in the right direction, and it's not that the team is regressing. I think we can't get too ahead of ourselves and just put our focus to Sporting, because we're going to preview our game this weekend, and I think it's a classic trap game here, and especially with all the ties that Porto has to this team down south. It's got there's going to be some fishiness here to it. So the same intensity that was brought against Braga has to be shown here the last 3 weeks of the season, and no excuses not to bring it, because the season is done in less than a month. You don't have games every 3-4 games, so it should be fresh legs and give it all.
Yeah, before we move on, can we talk about Joao Neves?
Oh, that kid's spectacular.
Look, I think that, let me just say that I think we were all surprised when we saw Joao Neves make this squad, right? And the reason for that is because he wasn't even a starter for the B team. But we all know what kind of a season the B team is having. Not a very good one. But certainly, he makes the squad. Then we see him feature 2 minutes here. And in 2 minutes, maybe he gets 1-2 touches, right? 3 minutes here. Then he starts getting a little bit more minutes. 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. But look, we saw him against Gilles. We saw him the game before that I forget who was it against now, Dave. But if you could remind me.
Estoril, I think.
Estoril. Yeah, Estoril, Gilles. And look, yeah, it's nice. Nice player. Works. has nice feet, knows how to launch a pass, drives a pass. He doesn't hang a pass like Chiquinho. He's a guy that on the defensive side of the ball, he's very pesky, chases people. He's not a very physical guy, but he's a guy that holds his own. I was very, very surprised with the amount of head ball duels that he won against this Braga team in the midfield, going up for head balls and winning those head balls. A kid that is not, it can't be too tall. I don't know what his size is, but he's not too tall. But he kept winning balls, and then just to have the awareness of winning balls and knowing where the next pass is going to be, or make a sprint to cover a guy, to cover Bruma, or whatever it was. Look, I just thought that the kid was phenomenal, and I think that we are in the presence of another star. What do you think, Thiago?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's like you said, he's very pesky. He chases balls down, and there was a couple of plays like he doesn't give up. There was a couple of plays right on the sideline where he's fight. I remember one in particular where he's fighting Ricardo Huerta, and Ricardo Huerta's trying to get the ball away from him, like trying to get around him, and he knocks the ball off Ricardo Huerta's leg for a Benfica throw in.
Yeah,
and it's just it's that right there. It's that and if you notice, Antonio Silva has the same garra. It's like that those kids who came from the Formação and came up through the Benfica ranks, that they give 150% every time they touch the ball. Every time they know, because Benfica does such a good job at the younger age to teach these kids that, listen, you go in there and you fight for this jersey, you fight for this team until you have nothing left to give you. And you can see most the kids who make it are the ones who do that, because I mean we've had other kids from a song who come up and you could see it. You could see it in the man. He's good, but he doesn't have that garra. And now you see like Antonio Silva come in, and he's just he's remember the game where what was it against what was Juventus, where
he put the finger
and who was it, Chiellini's face?
Chiellini,
like that's hard, dude. That's like that's like, listen, we're Benfica, we don't care who you are, we're Benfica, and that's it. And that's how these kids from the Formação come up, and the ones that you see that from are the ones that are successful.
Yeah, so and I was just thinking about that as you were mentioning that, right? Because both kids are of the same age. We're talking about Silva and Jon Snow, like I like to call him, Jon Snows. So it could be two things, right? It could be that these kids grew up watching those JJ teams, the whole Compressor team. Just a lot of heart in those teams, a lot of Benfiquismos in those teams. So I think that served as inspiration as you're growing up. This is the Benfica that you're growing up to, and you're inspired by this Benfica who has been able to string a few championships together. Or there's a culture. There's a very unique culture that's being created at the Seixal that all these kids buy into. But not every kid is going to have the intensity, the aggressiveness, perhaps that motivation, that garra, that Benfiquismo. But these two kids are kids that embody that Benfiquista spirit of never giving up and club above all. And each one of them, whenever they speak to the media, the discourse is always with that intent. Club above all. I'm here to serve Benfica and not Benfica to serve me. And I think it's extremely important that the kids that are being brought up to the Seixal, and look, like I'm saying, this could be a culture thing, or it could just be a thing that's within the personality of these kids, that they have chosen to live this culture as Benfiquistas and as players that play for Benfica. So it could be one of those two things. But I think watching those Benfica teams during the JJ era provided a lot of inspiration for these kids, right? But I do think that there's a culture, a Benfiquista culture within the Seixal that's there for kids to pick up. Some kids pick it up. Some kids choose other things, right? And I think these two kids are perfect when it comes to that sentiment. I don't know. What do you guys think, Tiago?
No, I agree. I mean, you could look at a perfect example. What was it? Diego Moreira.
Yep.
He was one of the kids that was brought up
Yeah,
also, and you could see in him he's not he doesn't look to be a team player. He doesn't look like he has that garra. And Schmidt sees it. You know what I mean? Like he's a seasoned vet. He could see who has that garra and who doesn't. And when you sit there and you watch Silva, Antonio Silva, pretty much shush one of the most famous Italian players of all time, and he goes up to him and he's like, "No, you're not going to disrespect my team or my teammate."
exactly.
That sets precedent to what all these kids see. All these
Yeah,
kids see that and they're like, "Wow, if this guy is doing it, I could be the next one to do it."
yeah. Dave, what do you think, man? You think it's a culture? You think it's a personality? You think it's an inspiration as you grow up? Because look, you get more inspired by a team that wins than a team that loses, right? And a lot of kids probably became fans of Man City because Man City was winning, or Liverpool, or whatever. But these kids grew up seeing the JJ teams, seeing especially those first couple years of JJ teams that what Benfica was just unstoppable. What do you think? Is it just the personality?
There's the JJ factor too, but a lot of these guys have been coming up and being winners as a group and as a class per se, right? We had the team that won the youth league last year, and before that, I believe they made the finals the year before that one, or if it wasn't that year, it was the year prior. So winning at different youth levels just breeds a culture of winning, right? So you can't expect them to learn how to win if they haven't been winning along the way in their youth careers, right? So winning breeds confidence. Winning breeds that mentality, so that when you do make it and you are given the opportunity to play at the senior side, it's not just a flick of the switch where, okay, now we got to go and win. No, you got to be winning at every stage of your youth career. So I think JJ is how JJ and those teams play a role is maybe getting the kids through the door and getting them to
Yeah,
believe in the project. But along the way, they still have to contribute to the project, and they have to show that mentality to win and bring it each and every day. And we're seeing that now with this latest batch of kids here.
yeah. Let me read some comments here on João Neves because I think that there's a lot of good comments here in the chat. Diogo Reis said João Neves was my man of the match. He was for me too. And I know that Rafa scored the goal. And look, when you beat Braga by 1-0, and it's that important of the game, maybe the goal scorer does deserve that MVP. But for me, he was an absolute monster. Manny Villadão says Jon Snow on fire. Um, Diogo Reis says he was coming back from a broken leg, is why he wasn't on a B team. Good, fair enough. I wasn't aware of that. Bruno Gil Rodrigues says, how lucky are we? Two big finds from the Formação, Antonio and João Neves. And then Diogo Reis said, I said it before, but he reminds me of a young João Moutinho. Yeah, I think that I'm starting to see that comparison more often with João Moutinho because of the style. Even like the gait, their gait, the way they move, the way they run is very similar. Kevin saying smart with the ball, doesn't waste it. Love that in a young player. Yeah. Cristiano Libório, ele levou porrada o jogo todo, mas também deu. João Neves aerial wins is the most impressive. Kevin, the smallest guy, wins a lot of aerial battles. Go figure. Yeah, look, I think it's all about desire. Timo says all about positioning and using your body to box the opponent out, same as rebounds in basketball. Yeah. Kevin says Silva and Neves have an attitude that I like from our academy youth. Wish more would show the same. Look, he can't have them all because there's all different personalities. those youth Champions League finals losses fired up this generation, maybe. Same could be said about Ramos and Florentino. Yeah, they hustle. They're guys that feel the club. Um, Carlos Amaro says plays bigger than he is. Then Kevin says, "Yeah, I found this interesting. I don't know how accurate it is. My buddy told me that he read Neves wears his kit and his shorts. His dad told him not to respect Benfica and wear the kit properly. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but certainly Aymar was one of the idols of João Neves growing up, and Aymar was a guy that always wore the jersey and the shorts. Let's see what else. Manny Valadão. Yeah, this is a great point by Manny Valadão. Never at the Modalidades game cheering on Benfica is proof of living and believing in the culture. Yeah, I mean we've seen João Neves do that. Pedro Aresta, the way that Neves tucks his shirt into his shorts says it all. Old school mentality with the never say die attitude. That's what we need from this mentality. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Pedro Aresta, give the kid the 10 shirt. Come on, man, let's not get ahead of ourselves. While Rezendes Moreira just wants money, he cried about not getting opportunities. So what does he do? He starts negotiating with PSG, then ends up signing with Chelsea. He couldn't get chances at Benfica, but he will at Chelsea. Yeah, SLBEES, the Rui Vitória teams too. Those were winning, and the academy players, unlike JJ. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that when Rui Vitória came along and started tapping into the academy, that set a precedent for a lot of the kids that were going into the academy. I don't know if you guys remember one of the JJ's famous phrases were a player to play for Benfica has to be born 10 times or something like that, or maybe he was trying to say like it's one player in a generation that could make a Benfica team. So I think that was a bit discouraging for a lot of the kids that were coming up and they were playing for Benfica. And with the Rui Vitória and subsequent coaches, with Lage coming, with Lage introduced Florentino, introduced a bunch of other young players into the team, I think that kids now felt encouraged to give it their all and understand that perhaps there is a future past the junior team or past the B team. So, look, I'm very happy for Silva, for Neves, all the other youngsters that get to wear a Benfica jersey and that are Benfiquistas, because, you know, who hasn't had that dream? If you guys played soccer and took soccer serious or football serious, at some point you thought, man, I wish I could be a professional player and play for Benfica. Not all of us have that talent, obviously, but certainly who hasn't dreamed about giving their all and leaving their all on the field for the club that you love? I think that's a dream that a lot of us have. Some of us are more realistic than others, obviously, but certainly. But for me, MVP for sure. I can't say enough about João Neves. I just hope that he continues to improve. He continues to stay humble, and he continues with that same personality trait that we have seen in both him and Antonio Silva. Dave, stats on this game so we can move on.
Yeah, we briefly touched upon it earlier in the show here, but Rafa returning to the score sheet, first goal since March 7th, where he scored against Club Brugge. First league goal since October 29th against Chaves, almost 7 months without him scoring in the league. And there were a couple of other ones, but more or less that Benfica is on pace to have one of their most successful years here, but we won't get too ahead of ourselves. We'll keep it nice and simple here. 6 points away from number 38. So 3 to go, and we need 6 points here.
Yeah, Ricardo Teixeira is saying, I'm sorry, but Neres was the MVP for me. Neres played very well on the final third. The deadly passes are the most important thing, and we were lacking a lot of that in this season. Yeah, no, look, I think that between João Neves and Neres, you could pick one, and either one would be great with the MVP. Not that I don't think that Rafa couldn't have been the MVP, but certainly in terms of the way they played throughout the game, for me, they deserve it more. Excuse me. Anyway, turning our attention now to Portimonense. Benfica will travel down to Algarve to play Portimonense this Saturday. Dave, what's Portimonense up to? I don't think they have anything else to play for.
No,
what are they up to this season?
they're pretty much cemented into that 13th position here. They've got 34 points, 10 wins, 4 draws, 17 defeats here. Third worst offense in the league this year with only 24 goals scored in their 31 games played. Historically, 38 wins, 9 draws, 2 defeats in the previous 49 meetings. And since they were promoted back to the first division in 2017, 8 wins, 2 draws, and 2 defeats here.
Yeah, Saturday at 6 p.m. There's already a very high demand for tickets at. I'm sure they'll be playing at Stadio do Algarve, if I'm not mistaken, right, Thiago? Are they playing at Stadio do Algarve?
Yeah, no, they play in Portimão.
They're playing Portimão.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So look, I think that if you guys follow the Tugão, we all know the ties between Porto and Portimonense. The shady deals, I mean, you're talking about Martinez. Was it Martinez? What their former forward that played for Portimonense and had a penalty? Yep. He shanked it.
Yeah.
Look, there's things that obviously I don't think anybody can prove, but certainly there's a lot of things that we look at and that we say, man, that's really fishy. Samuel Portugal was that one.
Did you mention the Nakajima?
Yeah, Nakajima. And I think that you know what the weirdest thing about Nakajima is that Nakajima probably didn't understand what was going on, and he just went about his business and he did his thing, and he kind of never really became anything at Porto. Same thing with that Samuel Portugal. At some point they were saying, he's like the 4th best keeper in Portugal, and I don't think he's ever played for Porto since he joined them.
No.
And they bought him for like 10 million or some shit like that. It was like weird shit.
He looked like a 10 million keeper whenever he played against Benfica. So
they all do.
That's where he got the money.
They all do. They all do. Watch this Saturday. This team is gonna, like we were talking on before we started the pod. This team is gonna eat grass this week. They are gonna kill themselves, or they're gonna kill Benfica trying. Yeah. Because this team is the Porto of the South, and they're gonna want to.
And it's the funny thing is that their coach against Porto rested a bunch of players.
Yeah.
And
he always does.
His excuse was that this is not a championship. We need to rest players to play teams that are in our championship. And I've already read today. Portimonense na máxima força.
Yep.
So go figure. Look, definitely we got to watch out for who's going to be nominated in terms of a referee, and this is going to be a really, really tricky game. And this is a game that I think Benfica will not only be playing Portimonense, but they'll also be playing the referee crew. So we need to play extra hard, score extra goals, just to make sure that this win doesn't escape us.
They need to score early. They need to score early and control the tempo of the game, and not, like I said, they have to do what they did against Braga. Go out there, because if Benfica plays them olhos para olhos, there's no way that team holds up. It's just. But the thing is, it's like, again, maybe I've noticed something since Benfica got eliminated from the Champions League, that the games have become less. So now the team seems like they're starting Estoril. You'll be seeing this weekend against Braga, like the team starts like they're showing like signs of not having to play 2 games a week. You know what I mean?
Being fresher.
Yeah, they're fresher. The only thing that still bugs me about Benfica is that last pass in the third. Like sometimes it's just shoot the ball and see what happens. Like you try to make that one extra pass that always ends up costing you maybe a nice shot. Like we've seen Neves from outside the box just bomb them. We've seen Grimaldo do the same thing. Like we just have to take those chances. You're not going to score if you don't put the ball on net. That's that's inevitable.
But you know what the funny thing is in that is he's not even playing in the position that he plays the best, which is on the right.
Yeah,
The
on the
right
right.
when he cuts inside and has those far post shots, those bends to the far post. I mean, he's even really good crossing with his with his right foot. But Schmidt continues to go with João Mario and put Neres on the left.
I
which
also
is,
think that has a lot to do with Oshna's playing at right back.
yeah, no,
Gives
I
them
get
extra
that.
security with João Mario being a better defender than Neres, because Neres doesn't give you much in terms of defending. He's more of an attacking player. So with Oshna's not being an experienced right back, I think that João Mario gives you that little bit of stability to help Oshna's, really
Yeah,
cover
no,
that right wing, because
I understand that.
he was getting cooked by Bruma. Bruma was
Yeah.
cooking
but
him
look,
all
he,
game.
he did. But who doesn't Bruma cook?
Yeah. I mean, he
He's
held his own.
explosive, man. He's
Yeah.
explosive. And then when you get a guy whose natural position is not the right
Yeah.
back, you're obviously gonna have your task is gonna be a little easier. But I thought for the most part, he held his own. He held his own. Dave, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking for this game? Shenanigan City.
Oh yeah,
Or-
this has all the off the field antics written all over it. The trap game, like I already mentioned.
Yeah, but I
none
don't know
of-
if it's a trap game because I know that players are going to know of the connection. And look, I know that we talk about the mala all the time. I don't know how much of it is true, and obviously the mala is a figure of speech, right? But with the connections that Porto has to Portimonense, and understanding that there's going to be maybe a prize to beat Benfica, Benfica has to be aware of this. Benfica has to know that there's close ties, and regardless of whether Portimonense has anything to play for, I don't know if I would look at this as a trap game, Dave.
But it has all the writings to be right, because we're already talking about all being champions at Sporting, but we can't even look that far. We got to take care of
No.
business. We got to take care of business this weekend here, and it's not going to be an easy game. Like we've mentioned, this is going to be their finals. If they can take points away from Benfica and help out their club up north, that'll be a successful season for them. So
Yeah.
the team just needs to come out like they did against Braga, and no offense to this team here, they're nowhere close to a Braga, right? So if they're able to sustain the pressure that we gave Braga for the first 30 minutes of that game, I would be very surprised and shocked. But we got to bring our finishing boots down south. That's for sure.
But Dave, one thing is that you're being pressed and your line's extremely compact and you're just playing on top of your 18 and you really don't have a lot of room to play behind the defense. And another thing is that you're a little bit higher on the pitch and you're a little bit more spread out and you're allowing those pockets of space. I think that Portimonense is really going to be compact, eliminate those pockets of space, and really force Benfica to force those balls, to play those risky passes, to play those low percentages passes. That's what I think that Portimonense is going to do. But it's going to be extremely tricky. But I don't think that Benfica will underestimate Portimonense. Tiago, what do you think, man? What are your thoughts on this game?
I almost feel like they're gonna park the bus and just try to steal points from Benfica whatever way they can. Whether they try to hit on counter, probably with one or two guys, they're not going to commit much forward because unless Benfica goes up early, and that's the main thing. Benfica has to score early because then they're gonna force them to open up and play the game. But if Benfica can't get a goal within like the first 25, 30 minutes, this team is just going to sit back and probably commit one or two guys forward on a counter and wait for Benfica to make a mistake. Because, I mean, they have nothing to lose, but they would love to play spoiler to Benfica's season. They would love to steal. Even if they could steal 2 points from Benfica, that's already a big thing for them. So that's the one thing we gotta watch out with is try to score early, try to make them open up their gameplay, not let them set back and just park the bus on us because they'll be happy with just playing for the tie.
Yeah, Ricardo Teixeira said we need to score early, but please, we need to take more outside of the box shots. Yeah, I agree with that. Their paycheck will be huge to defend with 11 players. Yeah, Carlos saying finishing has become a real concern. Ramos and Rafa are batting poorly. Paul Rezende says Ramos needs to sit this game out. Start Musa. He's in a better form. Also, we like to see Mario sit. Neres play right wing, Gedge left wing. Yeah, look, I don't disagree with any of that, even though I think that Gedge is still trying to get into game rhythm. I think that there was a play, if I could recall, in this game that Gedge gets beaten for speed from a center back, and this is not a race that he loses when he's in tip-top shape. So I don't know what condition Gonçalo Guedes is, but could it be an option? Yeah. But I do think that maybe Ramos deserves a little bit of a rest. But I agree with what Dave was saying before in terms of what Ramos offers to the team.
Yeah, but I think Musa.
But then again,
Musa fits better in this game. Musa will fit better in this game because
if Portimonense going to be set up in their back,
yeah, you need Musa.
You're going to need the
I totally agree with Paulo saying on that. I think they need Musa in this game. They're not gonna be pressing the ball because Portimonense is not gonna come out swinging like Braga did or play at the rate that Braga plays. So I think Musa makes all the sense in the world for this game.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Especially, like you said, you don't need to press because all these guys are going to be trying to clear and they're going to be trying to play long to get on a counter. So I don't know. They're not going to try to play out of the back. So I don't know if we need that guy as the first line of press in Rams.
Yeah, Musa makes perfect sense.
But I think that maybe Musa comes in a lot sooner if he doesn't start because you're going to need a presence. If you're going to bombard the area with crosses, you're going to need people that can get at them, and Musa is one of them. So, Gonçalo Ramos I don't think Gonçalo Ramos' aerial game is all that great. I think it's average at best, but I think that Musa is better. And if they're going to be blocked in, park the bus, we're going to need to cross balls. We're not going to be able to get past 10 guys in front of the box. Just not. It's unrealistic. And then the fact that we don't take shots from outside the box, that's even more concerning. So I expect a different challenge for Benfica in this Portimonense game. I think we're capable of winning it, but I think that we need to be very patient. We need to use our heads, and we need to be a lot more clinical in the final third. So, Dave, you want to risk a prediction?
2-0 Benfica.
I'm gonna say 4-0 Benfica.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, okay. So I'll slot in between you guys. I'll say 3-0 Benfica.
Yeah, I think that I hope that Benfica scores early, and I think if Benfica scores early, it's
game over. That's checkmate there at that point.
All she wrote.
Because Portimonense is going to come in with one way of playing the game and one way only. I mean, they come in with that, and another thing too is we're going to see a lot of that mata jogo. If Benfica starts anti-jogo, they're going to start throwing themselves to the ground. That crap that happens in the Portuguese. We're going to see a lot of that once Benfica starts really. If Benfica plays the first 20 minutes like they did against Braga, you're going to see a lot of anti-jogo and really, really early in the game.
Yeah, and I think that the whatever referee gets called, if he allows that, and if he's very surgical also in breaking up play and calling the little fouls and stopping the game for every little minute.
That's 95% of the referees in the Portuguese
all
league.
You're going to do is you're going to disrupt any momentum Benfica may get. Timo saying Musa is phenomenal with his back to the goal, something Ramos doesn't do. Now, I don't think anybody could dispute that. Nick Villadon says Benfica won't be looking past anyone the remainder of the season. You could see the body language of the players since the Porto match has been very nervous. Yeah, no, I agree. Look, I think it's another must-win game, and I think that if we win this game, I think that it will be very, very hard for the title to escape us. Even if you go to the Alvalade and you drop the 3 there, you got Santa Clara, who's basically done for. They got a fork in them already. And at Stade de Luz, with the same type of atmosphere that you had against Braga, understanding that this is the title game, will be very hard. It'll be very hard to stop this Benfica team. So, we'll see.
Good thing is we only need to depend on ourselves at this point. So,
yeah, at least I mean, it's great. We're in a great position. Could we be better? Yeah. Could we have already clinched it? Yeah, we could have already clinched it. But if it, how does it go? If it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be for us, right?
Yeah.
But we always put ourselves in this type of position. We can never win championships comfortably with 3 games to go. It would have been nice. We could have clinched the championship this past weekend if we had those 10 points.
Yep.
Easily. But Timo's saying, what is the chat thinking in terms of prediction? I'll read some predictions, and then we'll get out of here. Timo's saying Benfica 2, Portimonense 1, scores in the 90 plus, and then Benfica sits back and holds the result. Yeah, no, I think that Benfica has to score early. He has to score early, otherwise, it'll become harder and harder as the game goes on. But what's the chat thinking in terms of predictions? How many games? How many games Musa start? Diogo Reis asking. I don't think he started any games. I think maybe a cup game. Dave, can you check out Musa
take a
real
look
quick?
at that. Yeah.
I don't think I don't think he's going to start either. It would make all the sense in the world to start him, but I don't think he's going to, because at the end of the day, let's think about if he decides now to start Musa over Ramos, think what that does to Ramos' psyche for the rest of the 2 remaining games. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's a very smart play. Like Alfredo said, I think maybe Musa comes on a little bit earlier if Benfica needs him, but I don't think he starts.
He started in 5 games this season, 3 of them being cup games. So only
Cup games,
2 leagues.
Yeah, Carlos Amaro says 3-0 by halftime, stays that way for the rest of the game. Diogo Reis says 2-0. Yeah, I think that people need to be confident, but I think that stranger things have happened, especially when you have that connection with Porto and the Tugão that we've seen. Ricardo Teixeira is with me if we score early, 4-0. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. An early score. Portimonense having to come out because they have some prize money that they need to get to, and if he gets thanks some few more goals. Hopefully, will be Gonçalo Ramos' return to goals, which means that maybe he's turned the corner. I don't know. I feel for the kid. I think he's been great all season. I think he's been phenomenal all season, and he's hit a rough patch.
He's due for a good game.
Yeah, and the goal that he misses against Braga, fucking hell, man. That's a sitter. That's a sitter. He puts those away, as I mentioned, but Paul Rezenchens, he probably won't start because, let's be honest, Roger is predictable. Yeah. Yep. But I thought that he did a good job against Braga in his game plan.
Yeah.
The way.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Against Braga, he wasn't predictable when he started Joao, Neves, and Chiquinho in the midfield and left Tino out of the game. So maybe he's not as predictable as we think.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say on that is that I think that game was calling. I know we kind of rag on this guy too, but Gilberto, at least somebody who knows who's accustomed to playing that right back position, because like we alluded to,
something is off about that, Dave. I don't know. There's something going on with Gilberto. Like, how do you not play him? Like
Bruma was turning Arshness inside out, backwards, forwards.
See,
But I-
Gilberto's a more physical body. I don't think he would
Yeah.
have done it. Like,
Yeah, but
something's not right.
But at the end
Something-
of at the end of the day, I think that Auschwitz is always going to have better feet than Gilberto. So coming out of the back and combining and getting forward is.
I
always
get
gonna
it to
be better
start
with
the game,
Auschwitz.
but when we're winning 1-0 with 10 minutes to go, and he still doesn't make that sub, even if you want to leave Arshness in the game and at least put Gilberto there more to be that defensive presence and know how to play
Yeah.
that position.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm
And-
saying. Something's not right.
Yeah.
Something must have happened there because Gilberto was the backup for Ba, and all of a sudden he's moving Arshness, who's probably one of our better midfielders, to right back. So it's like, I don't know. Something doesn't add up.
I'm not saying that he should have started the game, but at least when you have the result already and you just need to defend, and you see what Bruma's doing on that side, I thought it was a no doubter to at least put Gilberto into at least somewhat be physical on that side.
Yeah, Gilberto's another one. He goes out there. You know, he reminds me a lot of Leo, the left back we had, the Brazilian left back. He has that like that garra, like he leaves everything on the field. Like you see this man sprinting to the point where he looks like he's about to pass out on the field. By like the 70th minute, he's gassed from so much running. And it's just to have a player like that, and then you put one of our better midfielders at right back.
Yeah.
Something doesn't add up.
Yeah. It's Diogo Reis saying you guys think that Braga was snubbed the PK on Grimaldo tackle?
I don't think so.
Well,
Let's ask
number
the
one,
referee.
number one, the ball needs to get there. Obviously, it doesn't invalidate that if there's contact, and from the looks of it, minimal contact, right? But the ball needs to get there. If it's a foul, it's a foul, regardless if the ball is there or not. If a player gets tackled on the field away from the ball, the referee's going to call it. It's going to call it, and there's going to be a yellow card. For me, there wasn't enough contact for them to even argue about. That's my view on it.
I mean, I've seen penalties called for less than that, but I mean, it is the Portuguese league. You never know. Even with VAR, like Roger Schmidt said, we should just do away with VAR because it's true. Like it's like what do they say? O critério nunca é o mesmo, and that's the problem we have in this league. Is the critério is never the same.
It's lack of consistency.
Yeah.
Paul Rezende said I'm too superstitious to predict a score, but it will be a tough one for sure. I'm sure us Benfiquistas will suffer before the final whistle. Oh yeah, of course. SLBES, I trust Gilberto. Something must be going on. Gilberto has been awful. He's been terrible. Roger lost trust in him, says Carl Zamaru. I agree with that.
Could be.
The problem is that Gilberto can't defend. Yeah, he can run up and down, and he can chase guys, but in terms of defending, I don't think he's all there. I think that the Gilberto case was a bit similar to Tino. Many mistakes in one game, only due to tiredness. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, Diogo Reis says, don't compare Gil to Leo. Leo was a beast. He was a beast. But in terms of effort, in terms of heart, that's a similarity. In terms of player, no comparison.
Yeah, no comparison.
I thought that Leo was great.
Leo was one of probably our best left backs that I can remember.
Yeah. I was reading somebody on Twitter that was saying they don't remember Benfica ever having a left back as good as Gilberto, and the first guy that comes to mind is Leo. I thought that Leo was, not Gilberto, Grimaldo. I thought that Leo was excellent. The only thing that Grimaldo brings are the free kicks and the shots.
Because he can't defend either. Grimaldo can't defend either, so we're screwed on both. Probably that's what it is. If we put Gilberto on one side and have Grimaldo on the other side, we have two left backs, two backs that can't defend. So I mean, because let's be honest, Grimaldo doesn't offer you much in terms of defending either. He's good going up. He's good, shooting. He's good playing on the wing. But as far as defending, também é outro buraco.
Yeah, but I mean, he's gotten a lot better throughout the years, and there was an article or a piece on the ball about the the Dane Sheldrup and Tengsted, that they just gone by the wayside or they've been eclipsed or whatever the title said. But look, I think a lot of people are forgetting that when Benfica got Grimaldo, and obviously we got Grimaldo young, Grimaldo didn't play, and this is already something that we mentioned in our podcast. Grimaldo didn't play until like the last 2 or 3 games of the season. He came in the winter, didn't play until then, and it didn't really challenge for a starting spot until the next season. And I mean, Sheldrup is 18 years old, right, Dave?
Yeah.
And
If they're using this as somewhat of an extended leeway for him to get accustomed to the team rather than just coming in
but
the summer,
look,
I'm
this
fine
is
with that.
I think this is what well-organized clubs do. They start preparing next season already during the season that's ongoing. You look at your depth chart. You look at guys that could possibly be leaving, and you make a plan. You put somebody in place. This guy, even though we got him in the winter, doesn't mean that he's gonna come in and walk into the starting lineup. But he's
these kids
player
were
that we
projects.
believe in for the future.
Yeah, these kids were projects. They weren't signed. See, that's that. You know what caused that whole confusion is when Benfica foi ao mercado. You got to think about it. We were waiting for now players to add to depth to this roster. So when we signed these 2 guys, a lot of people misunderstood the 2 signings as, wow, these guys are gonna come in now, but they weren't. They were that was never the plan for them.
Yeah, no. The plan was that there were going to be projects. They can't. If Benfica needed them to start right away, they don't go and get players from Scandinavian leagues that are basically stopped for the winter. That these players have to go through 4, 5, 6 weeks of preseason training just to get them up to speed in terms of conditioning, let alone game rhythm. Somebody was saying here, Diogo Reis Sequeira, SLB, EES, he chased them. Sequeira was alone.
Yeah, he was a lone player.
He never belonged to Benfica. He was always an athletic player. So at the end of the season, his loan came to an end and he left. But yeah, he was another guy that was really good. And he could defend too.
Nice.
So anyway, let's get out of here. Dave, always a pleasure. Thiago, thanks for coming in, man.
Anytime,
and filling in.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. Thank you to all the Freddies that have been keeping us company. Benfica volleyball team clinched the championship. Benfica ladies football team campeonas or tricampeões? Tricampeonas, I think it is. Campeonas.
You got me there.
three in a row. And I know that the polo aquatic, water polo, also a title. There was a few titles. Benfica futsal was in the Final Four. They didn't make it to the final, but they did grab 3rd place. Sporting came in 2nd, and the team that beat Benfica won it, apparently with some more controversy. But anyway, that's all we got. Next week we'll be back. We'll recap this Portimonense game, and we'll look ahead to the big derby at the Alvalade. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Later.